Welcome back to the Joust About Careers podcast. This is the place to learn about careers from the people who are actually doing the work every day. I'm your host, Brian Bratt, and this week's guest is 2010 Van Buren graduate Michael Caris, a business manager for SRC Worldwide Incorporated and the owner of MC Golf Performance and Buckeye Rentals. In this episode, Michael shares how a typical day looks as he juggles 3 jobs, why he moved out of working full-time in the golf industry while maintaining his own golf-focused business, the impact relationships have had on his career journey, and much more. Whether you are interested in a career in the golf industry, want to become an entrepreneur, or are still exploring your options, I hope that what Michael shares today will help all of you make better career decisions and have fulfilling career journeys. Enjoy the show. Thank you very much, Michael, for joining us today. And I'd like to start out by just asking you how a typical day looks for you as the owner of 2 businesses and a business manager for SRC Worldwide Incorporated.
Yeah. So I would say most of my day would be developed to SRC Worldwide. That is my day job in that sense. So I come in most days between a 7 to 2 or a 7 to 3 is kind of my SRC time. That being said, my Buckeye rental company, most of my drop-offs for the dumpster rentals are AM. So that's where if I have a drop-off that day and I don't have an employee to handle that for me, I will do that drop-off, which is nice. They're usually around a 6 a.m. or a 7 a.m. drop-off. That way I can be in the office by 8, depending on the location. And then also with Michael Caris Golf Performance, pretty much an homage to my decade plus golf career in that sense as a teaching professional full-time, maintain a client book still of around 25 clients on a weekly basis that I work with, all PM or weekend times. Most of them are either high school or collegiate players that I've worked with since they were 5 to 8 years old. It's just kind of more of that friendship bond there. I would say that's why I've maintained most of them with having a very limited schedule to teach, because it's basically between 4 to 7 p.m. on nights during the week. And then weekends, Saturdays are really devoted to golf and college football. So
Now, how have you, has it been a struggle to figure out how to balance all of that? Because I mean, I feel like, basically 3 jobs plus a family. What have you learned about balancing life, work, family, all of that together?
You don't need a lot of sleep when there's caffeine in the world. No, I'm only kidding there. No, it's really prioritizing things and just really saying, okay, if I don't get this done today, is it the end of the world? Because in my eyes, if I get something done that can wait till tomorrow morning or spend time with my daughter and or my wife, it's a pretty easy call there to spend time with my family. So that's really where it comes down to just prioritizing. I have probably 3 apps with lists that if I don't write it down, I probably will forget it just because I have a lot going on and some things are in one ear process and then out the other.
Right.
After I'm done with that information. So really just being religious to a calendar too. And sometimes you don't want to do it, but you have to. And you just wake up early, which is nice because my wife on the weekends will sleep in and our daughter thankfully sleeps very well. So I'll just wake up early around 5 or 6 and get things done before they wake up. So
great. Yeah, that sounds good. Now, SRM, I looked online, magnesium chloride products. Now,
yes,
I don't know anything about magnesium chloride. Where are those things used, or what are you selling in your sales position or in your business manager position?
Yeah, so I actually don't handle sales. That's the one nice thing with my position. So we're a small company. So we have a location here in Cleveland, and then we actually have a small plant in Albany, Oregon. That mainly just handles, because we are a worldwide company with, I'd say 70% of our clients being Europe or based. That West Coast spot helps for freight,
right?
Flat out there. But really, I'm more of the finance manager, the HR manager in that sense, just to make sure everyone knows everything going on. That was kind of what brought me in from the golf industry. Was the last couple years in golf, I was a general manager. So it really was, you're wearing all the hats. You're the HR, you're sales, you're marketing, you're the head golf professional. So really had a good understanding of it with a smaller scale company. The largest company I've ever run was 45 people, so nothing crazy there, but
Right.
really just helping out here. And it's kind of been one that the work life schedule, I was friends with a couple people that work here before. When this position came open, knowing the flexibility, is when I was already leaning getting out of golf with the 60 to 70 hour weeks you work just for one job.
Right.
And I've been here, I want to say 7 months now.
Okay.
8 months total, probably, just out of the golf business there. That being said, I was consulting with them for about 4 months prior to that, just because they had this role open. So I was not planning to leave yet. And then it just kind of really fell in love with the people here.
Right.
Most, other than me, everyone's been here over 5 years. And other than the one person that's been here for 5 years, it's like 10, 15. There's one who's been here since the 70s. It's just a fun place to work.
Good.
And they allow flexible schedules,
Yeah.
which is nice,
Right.
and helped me keep one business going and open up another one.
Right.
So
talking about Buckeye Rental, that's a fairly new business that you started. And how many employees do you have, and what does that look like? You know, you said dropping off dumpsters, things like that. Is there what else do you do in that
yeah,
business?
so very raw. We've been legally observed as a company for about 7 months by the state of Ohio. Operating fully, I'd say, for about 3. Right now, it's me and one other person. That's kind of where it is. It's nice. So we are a dumpster rental and generator rental company. So that being said, our dumpsters are dump trailers. So they hook on the back of a truck. It's much less of a roll off. So it is literally a dump trailer with a 4 foot sidewall. So it looks like a dumpster. It's just on wheels. So where we really go in are a lot of our customers are home flippers, roofers, 1 to 3 day projects that don't require a 40-yard dumpster. We're very much that additive for companies that work with the big guys, by all means, but not all your projects are 3 months long. And so that's where we came in. I have a cousin that does this in Texas is really where I got the idea. We started kind of talking. He's in the military actively and does this. And that's kind of where it was, that idea of income that we don't have to put full time in, that is a very sustainable business that isn't really going to go anywhere, and that can grow into a full-time income. But it's one that I didn't have to forfeit my current income and paying all of our bills in that sense to start a company from scratch. So it was pretty nice in that sense. So yeah, we're growing slowly, but obviously with it being winter, there's not a ton of projects going on. There are a lot of roofs being done though. So that is really nice. We have a lot of customers there that help out pretty good there.
Right. Well, and I think that's interesting that you found that niche. You're filling a need for people. And then the idea that you've used your connections, your cousin with the Buckeye Rentals, your connections with your SRC. I think that just shows how important those relationships are and how you can, those oftentimes lead to those opportunities.
100%. That early golf was where I learned it really well. I guess I'll backtrack. My dad is where I learned it really well, when just the one thing he always did well in sales that I never really understood until I got older was people just liked him. And he was trustworthy. And it was one that people, now I know obviously as being older, yeah, when you trust people, you're going to go back to them almost every time.
Right.
And that's really where it kind of stuck in that with golf was I can talk. I talk to a brick wall sometimes, my wife will say, but it was always just, I'm a very curious person. So I would always ask why. And I wasn't afraid to ask people smarter than me. I like being not the least intelligent one in the room, but I don't want to be the smartest one in the room because I'm not going to learn anything in that sense. But then it's also, okay, how do you make the people in that room stay? And that's where it comes down to you're building relationships, and you can grow anything with knowing people.
Right.
If they support you in the right way, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, that's where it truly is who you know, but also how you maintain knowing them in that relationship to where it's not just a one-way street to where you're always asking for them. And then when they come back, no, I can't help. There's always give and take. So that's where I feel like that's the one thing that gets missed sometimes by people is, well, I have that relationship. I made it, but they're not fostering it.
Mm-hmm. When you were in high school, I know you did golf, and obviously you did work in the golf industry for quite a few years. What were your career plans when you graduated from Van Buren?
Not golf.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, playing college golf, yes. So that was one. I mean, Coach Heitkamp's still one of my best friends. As you know, done amazing things for golf. So that was always one I knew I wanted to be involved in it and somehow. Never thought it would be my full-time job until actually Addison Sterling, my classmate, called me. This was going into my sophomore year of college. I was at Point Park University playing and didn't really enjoy it that much. Was not happy there, and was a sports arts and entertainment management major. Really wanted to do marketing and sales like my dad did. And then he called me and said, "Hey, I'm going to a golf college in California and I need a roommate. You want to come?" Well, I was 19 and I said, sure. And I literally talked to my parents 2 weeks later. His parents were in my parents' house. We're all sitting there talking about us moving to California at 19 together. And that was Professional Golfers Career College. That was 2011. So after that, it was pretty self-explanatory from there. That college does set you up for a lot of success just by meeting people. We were in the Temecula, California campus, and then ironically, we both moved. So they have other campuses. I moved to the Hilton Head Island campus. Addison went to the Orlando, Florida campus, where he actually lives down there still, and works in golf a little bit. But I was in Hilton Head, and that's really where what kick-started everything was there's a PGA Tour event there at Harbor Town. We volunteered at it, and I just started talking to people. And I met a few coaches, started observing them, saying, "Hey, I have 3 days off. Can I just come watch you teach?" And then it was, yeah, sure. And that's where it really started understanding there's a lot of gratification from becoming a good golfer, becoming good in anything. But the gratification I got from helping someone achieve that was just unreal. And I was 20 to 21 when I was young, and I was like, okay, this is, for the first time in my life, it was kind of like, okay, I'm locked in. So it definitely took me a little while. The foundation was there. I just kind of needed pushed, or I guess pulled out west for it.
So that experience obviously has, played a big role in you figuring all of that out. Now, the Professional Golfers Career College, what is the ultimate goal of people that go there? Is it to become a professional golfer? Is it to become a golf pro? Is it something else?
It should be called the Golf Professionals Career College, because it really is that. We did have some, we had plenty of guys there that were trying to go pro. And that's where I was one of the worst golfers there by all means. And I was shooting 74 to 72 on 18 holes, and I was getting my butt kicked. So it's like there were plenty of good guys, and gals. Actually, a couple of the best players there were females that kicked all of our butts. But no, it really is the foundations of, okay, how are you running a business, to where it's like you had your normal classes like your business law, but then it was like your golf operations, to where flat out right off the bat, your first thing was, here's a golf course, a scenario. You could pick a private or a public. You're doing a full out a business plan. We're going to tell you what you did wrong, what you did right. So that was really where it was, okay, here's how you run a golf course. But they also had really good opportunities for it if you wanted to be a teaching pro, which is very different than the operation side. Obviously, you're indoors a lot more. You're running your tournament operations. You're really doing more of the overall club experience, I would say. Whereas a teaching pro, it's exactly that. You're a player development professional, is actually what the PGA has changed the name to now. But it's exactly that. You're working on the future of golf in a playing atmosphere. So they do have good opportunities for that. I will say anyone that wants, no college is going to make you good at teaching. You have to really go out and just watch people, and you have to watch a lot of different coaches, because you can teach golf a million different ways. It's really being able to know so many different methods that when you meet that obstacle student that doesn't fit your criteria for teaching, you know how to translate it to them. Ironically, I talk to my dad a lot. I think of my dad, who's not a good golfer, plays a lot of golf, but he's not that good of a golfer, to where it's working with him. Yeah, it's not going to be as hard to where you could work with a good golfer that has a lower back fusion, and it's going to be easier to work with the bad golfer than the golfer that has a physical limitation. So that's kind of where it does open more doors, to where then you're starting to see, okay, well, how do you look at this? There's no cookie cutter way to put everyone in. It's okay, how do you take what they already have, nurture that, and then grow from there? So that's where it really, I would say, the college gives you the connections to do that. Okay. Just like any college, but it's like an internship, I guess you could say.
Right.
In that sense, you're just interning for that golf pro.
How difficult is it to be in the golf industry? I know we have Trey Schweitzer. He's out in Missouri. Yeah, I had no idea that Addison was still working in the golf industry, at least a little bit. How difficult is it to make it?
If you're not married and not a father or mother, it's still tough.
Right.
It's a mental grind, because it is you're underpaid. I mean, when you look at how many hours you work as a golf professional, teaching pro, you eat what you kill. So it's very much, if you teach a lot, you'll make a lot. But as a golfer, I remember my first job, I was working 70 hours a week, making under $40,000 a year. And it's like, but I was 22 and I was hungry. So it was like, it really didn't matter. And I lived with two other people. So it's like my rent was cheap. But that was really what started to weigh on me, was even when I was a general manager, I was working 80-hour weeks, because I wouldn't have a pro shop person they would call off. I would have high school to college kids that would work for me. Well, yeah, they have lives. They're going to call off.
Right.
I had to close the shop. So, and that's where it's like, there's no leaving the place, is kind of where it is. But it's also very rewarding. I mean, like, I went on so many great golf trips, and I made relationships with so many great people on that. I mean, that's really what helped me start my businesses, were really just meeting people there. So I would say the pros outweigh the cons, but you're going to work a lot of hours. Right. But it's fun. Right. I thought it was really fun. I just didn't have the time to put into it anymore.
If you hadn't done that and didn't have your own, Michael Caris golf performance, coaching, et cetera, do you think you would have started the Buckeye Rentals? Do you think that all set you up to do the Buckeye Rentals, or do you think that would have happened regardless?
It would have been a lot harder. Okay. I wouldn't have known what I was doing. I've always wanted to be my own boss. I'm stubborn enough that I can always find a problem with someone I work for, type person, to where I just wanted it to be my way. But that being said, I also had to learn from a lot of good people, a lot of bad people, to see, okay, what's going to work, what's not. That being said, it's not going to be perfect by any means, but I would have been going in a lot more blind. And I probably wouldn't have had the guts to do it, to be quite honest, because a paycheck's very comforting.
Yes, it is.
It's very nice when I get paid every Friday. It's like, okay, this is sweet. Because I haven't taken a paycheck from my Buckeye rental yet. I probably won't, just because I want to grow it more for the next year. Right. And so that's where you have to be mentally prepared for that, of, okay, we got to put a lot of money into this, and the ROI is going to be zero for a little while.
Right. Right.
Actually quite negative, but I think it's worth it because it's one, I get to do what I think I want to do after just experiencing life and work. And two is my daughter, and we actually have another one on the way. We just found out.
Cool.
So as our kids grow up, it's kind of one that I want them to work for other people first. I don't want them to work for me first. I want them to actually like learn things, but they can see that if you put your mind to it and you take risks, calculated risk, you can be successful. It's just you're gonna work, and your cell phone's never gonna turn off. And I've missed a lot of Browns games this year. I wish I could have gone to, and it just happens. But it's well worth it.
Right. Right. What advice do you have for someone who's thinking about going into the golf world or thinking about starting a business?
Do it, but do your research. Be prepared going in. I mean, that's the one, especially the golf industry. Go be a caddy somewhere. Go be a cart kid somewhere. And then when you, in your interview, tell that pro, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Because one, that piqued my interest all the time. Most golf pros, at least, I feel like most good leaders want to set people up for success. They want their tree. You look sports, Nick Saban,
right?
The SEC championship were two coaches that worked for him.
Right.
And it's kind of stuff like that to where you want your tree to be there. Most golf pros want that tree, and a lot of really good ones. Ohio's blessed, especially Northern Ohio, with a lot of really good golf pros. The Cleveland area has a ton. Toledo has a ton. That's really, and Family Country Club actually has a ton, speaking of Jordan. But there's good opportunities. Just go do it. Don't be afraid to be the bottom level person there, because I'm going to guarantee your bosses have all had that position.
Right.
Too. So, and then on the entrepreneurship, plan, budget, and then double that budget, because that's probably what you're actually going to spend. And that's not even without paying taxes.
Right. 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 Right.
That's when you really dislike being a business owner. But just got a plan.
Right.
Excel is going to be your best friend.
Yeah. Well, Michael, I really appreciate all of this. And as we wrap up, what is it that you know now about careers that you really wish you had known when you were in high school?
Pay attention and try. I was very nonchalant in high school and was just kind of, hey, I like sports. I can stay eligible and cool. But it was never the hypotheticals didn't really please me. It was kind of, okay, how am I going to use? I didn't translate the hypotheticals in education to the real world.
Right.
Now I look back and I'm like, that made a lot of sense. So just being a little more cognizant, giving teachers a little more credit, that, hey, they're there to educate me and I don't know everything at 16 years old. So.
All right. Well, Michael, I really appreciate it. Sounds like you're doing well in all of your businesses and obviously a growing family and everything else. So that is all awesome. I hope some people will reach out to you and ask some questions, whether they're interested in golf, whether they're interested in business management, whether that is, owning their own businesses. Obviously, you have a lot of experience that is very useful. So congratulations on your career journey and good luck as it continues.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
If you liked this Joust About Careers episode, you can explore previous episodes and highlights to learn about even more careers of Van Buren graduates. To be sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, please click subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us, and we hope you will continue to prepare for your future by learning just about careers.